Here we go. Welcome to Shoot the Defence. Blimey, it's been a couple months since we last did the show, and this is my fault. I blame myself, and I apologise to my fellow co-hosts for taking so long to do this show. But yeah, it's the final Prem review show of the season. I'm Stel. I've got Steve Eyre. I've got Rhodri Giggs. I've got Theo from the Shed End, and John. He's back. One of the founder fathers of this little podcast. He's back. He's back. How are we doing, all gentlemen, man? I'll start with Rod first because I haven't.
Yeah, I'm good,
Rod
mate.
First for a while.
And there's no need to apologise. If you follow, a pub league more than the Premier League, that's your own prerogative.
Theo, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Are you podded out? It's like your second one tonight, man.
Podded out, yeah. But no, I'm good. Yeah, life's good. Can't complain. Thanks for having me on as well, obviously, as well.
No, thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. And Steve. Congratulations, by the way. Not on City winning the title, but your role.
Yeah. I joined Doncaster with it 6 weeks ago, but it got relegated.
I can't hear you. Can everyone?
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I joined Doncaster with 6 weeks ago of the season, but they were, in a relegation spot and they got down. But I'll have a go at trying to turn them around with the manager and freshen things up and see how we do. But delighted as a City supporter that they won the league yesterday. And obviously there was a large spell where I was thinking it wasn't going to happen, but as we all know, they came through.
Absolutely. And Mr. John, I'm not going to ask you how you feel with your team this season.
I'll just say I'm a little bit bolder and a little bit wider since I last came on the show. And I think we won something since I came on the show as well, so that's good. I'll take that. Not this season.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, 1 minute. When? How long ago was this? Because Arsenal ain't won a trophy in God knows how long.
I don't know. I think. 2020 was the last time we won something, wasn't it? So in a couple of years, yeah. So it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, shall we start from bottom to top? Because I know the top of the table is going to be the more interesting discussion. But as you guys know, Burnley lost to Newcastle. Leeds got a last-gasp winner against Brentford. Leeds stay up after Bielsa was shown the door, Steve. We'll talk about Bielsa and how Leeds were struggling. And we said this guy, as great as people make him out to be, we don't get the hype. We don't understand it. They let him go. They brought in Jesse Marsch, who, again, was relatively unproven. We know he did well in Austria, but didn't do well in the Bundesliga. Comes to the Premier League, lots of pressure. And while they got a lot of last-minute winners, got to tip our hat off to the guy. He's kept them up.
Yeah, they got the game on their own terms yesterday, leaving it to the last game, and a lot of things went for them. But, their only objective was to win the game, and they did. A lot of issues there this year. The biggest one being not enough wins, not enough goals. Well, that's two, but equally as well, struggling with injuries, possibly from the Bielsa regime. They managed to get a team and squad available enough for the last round of games to basically scramble home, but equally they were never in the bottom slots for too long of the division. They were certainly never bottom of the league, so they were never certain to get relegated. There was just something hanging over the head still for so long, and you are where you are at the end of the season. You belong where you belong, so credit to them for doing the job, but they've got to be expected to do a bit more than that. I saw the celebrations in the dressing room. It should be more of a relief, but I'd have had more respect if somebody would have stood up mid-celebration and said, right, enough's enough. Let's just have a few drinks, but let's make sure we're never in this position again. I'm a bit like the Roy Keane with that one. I don't see the mad celebrations, but nevertheless, let them enjoy the day.
Theo, what did you make of Leeds then? And the reason why I ask is because I strongly believe that Burnley threw it away. It was in their hands. And for whatever reason, whether it be injuries or whether it be not being able to put the ball in the back of the net or just defensive mistakes, they blew it. Is that a fair thing to say?
I'd say so, yeah. I think, Leeds had it all to do on the final day. They done what they needed to do. And Burnley didn't. But I think Leeds were always hovering, and I think when I was last on here as well, when Bielsa was still in charge, one of the things I remember saying was that, they'd love to get forward, but they're fully exposed at the back. And I think 79 goals they conceded this season. a lot of goals. And, you know, I agree with Steve. You know, I remember looking back at Everton, I think last week as well, and just the celebrations. You know, I don't get that. I don't think you could be. How can you turn up, you know, the last couple of games of the season and then celebrate the fact that you've stayed up? You should be doing that all season. You should be doing that every single game. But Leeds are. I mean, again, Leeds are one of those teams that need to be careful next season, because they could just like Everton, they could just be back down there fighting it out last game of the season. But I think it's a fair assessment. I think Burnley just didn't do what they needed to do. You know, they had chances in that game against Newcastle, but it is what it is, isn't it? That's just the way it goes sometimes in football. You're just unlucky.
Rod, I remember Leeds getting that last gasp equaliser against Brighton the other week, and that was the time where I believed that they would stay up. I think if they'd have lost that game, they wouldn't have beaten Brentford. Would you think that's fair?
Yeah, it's momentum, isn't it? They've had a lot of injuries, though, Leeds. So you've got to give him credit. I didn't fancy Jesse Marsch when he come in. You know, not a great record, no experience in the Premier League. Americans haven't really done well in the Premier League, but fair play to him. And you know, Burnley are always going to be up against Newcastle, one of the top managers in the league.
John, I know you love sexy football. I know you love it, but you always said goals are sanity and something about vanity. I don't know, possession, something along those lines. Burnley aren't very vain, are they? And I bet you're glad they're down. No.
Something you said.
No, it's a big mistake. Would Sean? It's a big question as well. Would Sean Dyche have kept her in? I know when he come in, Jackson, they had a little spurt of winning games, but would Sean Dyche? I know he only won 4 games, and Jackson won 3 in 8, I think it was. But with his experience of being down there before at the crunch time, it's just a question that you'll never know now. And probably karma's hit him, or justice has hit him, because what Sean Dyche has done for Burnley in keeping him in that league on a shoestring budget, what he's done to the facilities and the training ground, etc., and to sack him so late in the season, they probably got what the rewards, and they're probably going to drop like a stone now by all accounts, by the debt they're in. So, yeah, no sympathy. Same as Roy Keane, no sympathy here.
The thing is, mate, what I've always believed with sacking managers, I always felt that if you're going to sack a manager for poor results, especially when you're down at the bottom of the table, you do it at the beginning of January, because at least you've got that transfer window to bring in the players that you want. I think they sacked him way too late, in all fairness.
We see it all the time, don't you? At Christmas, did he sack him? Depends what run of games you've got coming at Christmas, because you know, if you've got a tough run of fixture games, they'll leave it to announce the manager after that. Or if they've got an easy fixture run of fixtures, it's, you know, but usually they do it in December, early January, and they left it too late. Even though Jackson did win a few games, you know, they got rid of a centre forward that'll get them the vital goals, would have kept them up. That was a mistake. Why would they sell one of the prized assets in the middle of a season when they're in a relegation fight? God knows. But obviously, you know, these owners are putting Burnley in debt, and they'll see now if they have to put their hands in their pockets, because, you know, by all accounts, they're in massive debt. So I don't know how they're going to get out of it. Maybe Tarkowski's a good sale for him. McNeil's a good sale for him. You could probably see a flash sale now at Burnley.
Rod, I don't think Tarkowski can be sold, can he?
Isn't he available on a free?
He's the end of contract, mate.
All right, well, that's a big mistake then, because, you know, 2 years ago, they was talking about 40-50 million for him, and now he's just going to walk out the door.
Yeah.
So that's poor business.
John, your microphone, you're muted. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. You sort your mic, mate. This is why he hasn't been on the show for like 2 years. His mic doesn't work. Like everything just. You need to sort out your mic settings, right? Go to your settings and check out your mic. Oh, still can't hear him. I'll tell you, while he sorts that out, Steve, how long do you think it will take for Burnley to come back up, if they come up, that is? Because when you fall into that division, it is an unforgiving league, man, honestly.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, we've seen Fulham and we've seen Bournemouth bounce back superbly, but we've also seen Sheffield United not. We've seen Middlesbrough not, and there are others. I think I heard today there'd be as many as 9 first-team regulars for Burnley leaving, so it's a massive recruitment job for whoever is, and none bigger than actually the biggest recruitment thing is they've not got a manager. So there's lots of voids in the football club. The supporters have remained consistent, but the team looks like it's fallen apart.
They ain't going to get someone, there's media reports that someone like Vincent Kompany's going to go to a place like that now.
Nah.
No chance. Maybe if they kept in the Premier League, he'd probably think about it, but not now. There's no chance.
You think they'll get a manager from the Championship or from League One, like a promising manager, possibly?
No. Championship. I mean, there was rumours of Chris Wilder, even though he's not long been at Middlesbrough. I think that's the type of calibre they need to be looking for. I wouldn't be at all surprised, honestly, if Neil Warnock has made himself available to come out of retirement.
Oh, wow.
I bet he has. Because it's a hell of a job, a hell of a football club with tradition. If only for the last 11 years of being in the Premier League. Great supporters, great part of the world. It's a fantastic job for somebody.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Dubul Dee from the D&D Footy Factory here, mate. You good?
What's going on? You right?
Yeah, mate. We're just talking about Kabaddi FC and
Can you hear
how
me?
Yes, can hear you fine. Can you hear us? Am I the one that's having mic problems now?
No, I can hear you anyway, so I'm not sure.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. John's stuck. Dee's stuck. I think this is going to be one of those shows. See, this is why we don't do them that often. Rod's disappeared.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you? All right. Okay, tell us, John. Tell us about Burnley, man. What's going on? Are they going to get stuck in the Championship forever and ever? Are they going to do an Oldham and end up outside the league eventually?
I don't know about outside the league, but I think they're going to be relegated again next season.
Wow.
I don't think they're nowhere at all going to be challenging to be promoted again, and I think they're really going to struggle. I think somebody mentioned about the debt that they're in at the moment. If I recall, the second payment for the Chris Woods transfer was due this week. It got swallowed up by the debt straight away. And then you got the what's it called, the Premier League. The payments that what do they call it?
Parachute.
Oh, the parachute payments.
Parachute payments.
Yeah. But those are all going to be swallowed up by the debt as well. Apparently they're 60 to 70 million pounds in debt because the owners did should we call it the Glazer model, where they borrowed against the club to buy the club. Basically mortgaged the club up to the eyeballs, and now they're losing the income of the Premier League, and they've got the debt to pay off as it is as well. They're going to lose Tarkowski if he's on the end of his contract. He's a quality Premier League experienced central defender. He's a big, strong lad, and he's got good game time ahead of him as well. They're not going to be able to hold on to him. They're not going to be able to keep hold of Ben Mee either. The Dutch striker, whose name I can never pronounce.
Weghorst.
That's the one. I'm not going to try it. I think he's got a future, but probably away from Burnley. And I actually think they're in serious trouble. And I think it all comes down to the sacking of Sean Dyche, which I think was a big mistake.
Well, if you look at who they've got available that they can sell, Nick Pope is one. He's got a year left on his contract. As you mentioned, Tarkowski is out of contract. Nathan Collins, he's got a contract till 2025. Ben Mee's done and dusted. That's it for him. Who else have you got? They can really
Got Cornet,
yeah. Ashley Westwood, but he's 32. Jack
Brownhill's at half decent. Could probably get in the lower league of the Premier League.
I think McNeil is probably the one, isn't he? He's the one that can get big money for.
But these players, they probably have relegation clauses, surely, in their contracts.
Cornet and Pope have.
Yeah.
Wow.
that's a big one.
Unbelievable.
You could understand Pope having that because he's an England goalkeeper. He's not just your average goalkeeper. He's an international.
World Cup round the corner.
So
They've got 9 players out of contract this summer. 9 players. But we're talking like Aaron Lennon, who's 35, and Phil Bardsley, and but there's going to be
old Cork. He's getting on a bit now as well.
32, I think.
Well, the good news is that these players, the good news from a Burnley point of view, is these players are probably their biggest earners. So these are the ones that they probably need to release in order to survive the financial situation that they're in. But I still don't think that they're gonna. I still think they're going to struggle in the Championship next season, and I really do think they're going to be battling relegation again. Whether they drop as far as non-league like Oldham, like you said, I don't think so. But I reckon the season after next, they will be in League One.
Yeah. Theo, what do you reckon of Brendan Aronson possibly joining Leeds? The US national team, was he midfielder? I don't know what he is. Apparently he's going for 30 million quid. Is he going to make much of a difference, you reckon? Do you know much about him?
I don't know much about him, but I'll be honest. I think, Leeds have got a lot of half decent players in that squad. Will he make a massive difference? Probably not in my opinion. But I don't know enough about him to comment on him. But I think, and it's a big price tag for Leeds to pay for him. I think 30 million is a lot of money. So you'd expect him to have done a bit of research on him and see what he's about. And
I think Marsh coached him at Salzburg. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he may have known him already. I think that's probably why they're going for him. In all fairness,
I think as well. It's with managers bringing in players that they like, and if they get sacked, the new manager. I'll use Everton as an example. Look at Everton, how much money they've spent over the last couple of seasons. Managers get sacked, they bring in their players, and then the manager that comes in after them is still left with these players that they don't necessarily want. Leeds don't want to be getting into that routine of buying players, and then, come December next year, are they going to consider to sack the manager if they're hovering around that relegation zone again in the league? So, like I said, I don't know much about the player, but I think in terms of what Leeds are doing, if they're trying to bring in players for these kind of big fees in terms of what Leeds would pay for players, then you'd expect them to have done some research on the player. And obviously, if it's the player that the manager wants, then he's obviously got good reasons for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, what do you think Leeds need to do to avoid this relegation battle again? Is it a case of signing more defenders? Because we know that they were conceding goals left, right and centre this season and last season, but they also need a goal scorer because Bamford has been non-existent this season, albeit due to injuries. They're relying on the youngster who came from Wigan, Gelhardt, who obviously is a decent talent, but you can't just rely on him and Rafinha for crying out loud. It's crazy.
Yeah, let's not forget, I think they played half a dozen games with Dan James as the centre forward as well. Yeah. So, they clearly haven't got any strikers on the boat, any fit ones when Bamford's not available. So you say they need to, shore up a little bit at the back. The goalkeeper doesn't convince me. I believe he's got a rick in him in every game. I always believe he will let one in, and I don't think they've got enough prowess up front. So you'd have to think they need to invest all over the place, and I don't think they've got that investment to spare anyway, unless they sell Calvin Phillips, which looks likely.
Yeah, that's right. All right, then let's move further up the table and talk about the Champions League spot, the final spot. We knew it was down to Spurs to be Spursy and blow it. They didn't. They absolutely battered Norwich 5-0. That was the game I watched, in all fairness. I didn't even watch the other ones. I watched the Spurs one. But yeah, Arsenal got a victory against Everton, a 5-1 win. But unfortunately for them, no top 4 this season. And let's get it right, John. If you look at your team at the beginning of the season and the players that you had and the money that you spent, would you say that you guys have somewhat overachieved, given the rest of the teams have ended in the top 4?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about this amongst Arsenal fans and football fans in general at the moment. Beginning of the season, 3 games in, we were bottom of the league, without a point, without a goal. It looked like we were in trouble, and at that point, any Arsenal fan would have taken 5th and bitten your hand off if you offered them 5th at that point, for sure. But the way we
but you'd have taken 5th if Spurs didn't get 4th.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But then I'd take 19th if Spurs took 20th as well. So yeah, the way it ended at the end. I mean, when you're that close after so many years of being out of the Champions League, and you get that close, and then you just turn into a little bit Spursy, let's say, and throw it all away. It's disappointing.
What do you think the turning point was? Because you guys went on a really good run. I know you picked up a few injury suspensions here and there. Where do you think you lot lost it? It wasn't at White Hart Lane, was it?
No. We lost it probably. Well, you could pick a few games. It could be Brighton, could be Southampton, could be Crystal Palace, could be any one of those games, or another one for that matter. Those are the games. Brighton and Southampton kind of seemed to be a bit of a learning curve for Arteta when he kind of realised, all right, going to have to change something here because we're not going to get the results. So they changed it, it started working for us again. Then we get battered by Palace. Fair play to Vieira. He knew how to beat us and he took full advantage. But yeah, I mean, all right, fifth is probably an overachievement, but the way we lost fourth was just disappointing. For me, though, personally, what's an even bigger achievement and what I take from Arsenal this season, which I put down to partly to Arteta, partly to Aaron Ramsdale and some of the other new signings. They have brought the fans and the club back together. It's been a number of years now where there's felt like a disconnection between the club and the fans, where we felt a little bit abandoned by the club, let's say, a little bit mistreated, a little bit, abandoned by the club. And we feel united now. And the atmosphere at the Emirates, and I haven't missed a home game for 4 or 5 years now. The atmosphere of the Emirates now is incredible. It is fantastic. It is the best I've known it, better than any game I went to at Highbury as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
There's no booing players. We get behind the players. We applaud every player. Every player gets a standing ovation. They do their lap at the end of every game. Every player gets applauded. And we've got our anthem. And I love it. And it's very North London. And it's very Arsenal. And it's brought us together. This season has brought us together.
Okay, well, before we talk about Spurs, John, one more question. When we first started doing this podcast 10 years ago, and I say 10 years ago, it's been that long, Jesus. You were Gazidis out, you were Kroenke out.
Yes, I was.
Obviously Gazidis is gone. He's gone to Milan and won the Scudetto there, which is a fantastic achievement for them. Have you seen much of a change in terms of Arsenal's, I wouldn't say philosophy, but their methods in terms of signing players, in terms of youth development, everything?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it has changed a lot. I like the way that we're approaching youth players at the moment and trying to add a little bit of experience here where we can as well. I totally agree with Arteta and Edu's recruitment policy. I'm going to go out on a limb here. People may not believe me, but when Wenger left, Arteta was actually my first choice. And I believe when he interviewed for the job, one of the reasons why he didn't get it to begin with, because he said we need to completely overhaul the squad. Now, they've gone a long way around it, but what has happened is that he has completely overhauled the squad. And now you're seeing the right kind of results, the right kind of effects. What they're doing is correct. I think he can be a little bit tactically naive. Maybe naive is not the right word. Maybe tactically inexperienced. He still needs to learn a little bit on that side of things. But I think he's the right man for the job. I think he's doing a good job. And he's taking Arsenal forward. And even I cannot complain about the Kroenkes either. They have put their money where their mouth is.
I think I'm going to faint. You're actually optimistic about Arsenal.
I feel
Jesus Christ.
I don't.
Like, I've never heard you being optimistic about Arsenal on this podcast before, John. I don't know what's happened in your hiatus, but
I know. But I'm telling you, the atmosphere is so much better. I actually yesterday was an emotional day. And I'm not going to lie, I had a tear of joy in my eye because I was proud of my boys. I was very proud of my players yesterday. And I think they played very, very well. I think they've played their hearts out this season. And I put that down to Arteta and his team.
Okay. Rod, when Arteta got the job, you were the first to say, or one of the first to say, he needs the opportunity, he needs backing. Patience is key. Now, in the 3 or 4 seasons, he's been in three seasons. This is his third season, if I'm not mistaken. Is it third season?
2.5
Third season, yeah. Third season, yeah. So he's won the cup, which obviously, you know, is a great achievement. But there's no Champions League football again. Do you still think he needs time? Is he building something like what John said?
Yes, you can see kind of bits, but you know he's dealing with a young squad, so you're going to get inconsistent results. What he does need is a few experienced, decent, reliable, experienced players around him, which he doesn't have. You know, his captain, which probably put a spanner in the works there, 20-25 goals a season. That's probably enough. They've got an up and running Aubameyang. They probably do make the top 4, but so that's probably putting a spanner in the works. But you can see that they're getting better. They're just inconsistent because they've got young players, and they're just going to have to grim and bear it, or just get the reliable, experienced players that are out there. They're difficult to find, but you just have to find that right blend. But yeah, the inconsistency, you know, Stes will tell you, if you play with young players, it's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, I've got a question with regards to Arteta. I think, forget the results and forget the league standings, which obviously is difficult to ignore at the moment, but I just put a pin in that for the time being. When you look at the job that he's done on and off the field for Arsenal, I think it's quite remarkable how he's managed to get rid of the bad eggs, your Guendouzi's, your Ozils, your Aubameyangs, and someone like Saliba, who a lot of Arsenal fans rated, they loved him, they wanted him, but yet they sent him out on loan to Marseille, and it doesn't look like he's going to come back either. It's almost as if he's completely changed the culture. That being said, there's a lot of experienced players that aren't good enough, in my opinion. There's a lot of youngsters who are still raw and haven't done anything at a top level for them to be contenders for any top 4 or championship. I think they overachieved this season. And also the recruitment. I don't know how much impact or influence he has in the recruitment with Edu there. That being said, again, I believe they've overachieved. I think they've done well to end up in the position they have. And I mentioned Saka the other day on the DD Footy Factory podcast. I think this season he's matured so much after the summer that he had at the Euros, missing that penalty, the abuse that he received, for him to come back and play 38 league games. He didn't miss a game this season. I think it's been a decent season overall for Arsenal. What do you reckon?
I think I totally agree with what you've said. The manager has improved the team, improved the club, and he's definitely cleansed the dressing room. But what he has got now, they're going to develop, they're not young kids, they aren't kids, but they are young men, into being top Premier League players, if they're not already. The goalkeeper being one, Ramsdale. I'm not too sure about his personality. I think he's too keen on social media with the other idiot, Ben Foster, constantly putting a camera in front of his face and self-attention. I don't like it. I think it gets in the way of his goalkeeping because his goalkeeping is very good. Saka, as you quite rightly say, has got his head down and got on with his career and bounced from disappointment. Smith Rowe is obviously an excellent player. It's getting the more game time for him to become a more rounded player. And I think Arsenal can survive at the top level as being the best of the rest. But if I have to be dead truthful here as a football supporter, I only think there's Tottenham Hotspur that they can try and get close to and go past their nearest rival. Because I believe Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea, and if Manchester United get their act together, which is obviously debatable, but certainly the first 3 clubs will always be above Arsenal. And I believe Tottenham will too. So whilst he's developing a good football team, the crowd are back on side, the atmosphere is good, they've got loads of millions in credit if they want to sell half of the team, I still don't think they can jump into the top 4. So where they are at the moment is exactly where I think they will stay for a long time, surviving at the top echelons of the division and never struggling.
Brilliant.
For instance, Stel, if we're in this 3 years down the line now, and Ben Tag or Ten Hag, finishes 5th, you know, it'd be down the line because he would probably have a lot more resources than Arteta, and you know, I hate to say it's a bigger football club, so next year's the one for Arsenal. I believe what Stez is saying is right, though. You know, the resources that the others have and how well they've played. And then you've got Tottenham with a world-class manager and Harry Kane and Song, who always win your games. It's going to be very, very difficult for him. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. I think the fundamental difference between United and Arsenal right now is the fact that United are a bigger club. They've got more financial power, and I think they've got more pulling power as well, regardless of the situation. With this new manager coming in, having won the Eredivisie with Ajax, he did really well with them in Europe, and he seems to have got a reputation for developing players. So that's another unique selling point. But Theo, I want to talk to you about Antonio Conte. You know all about him, having won the league at Chelsea. The way I see it right now, mate, is that when you look at Spurs at the beginning of the season, obviously Mourinho leaves. They brought in Nuno. He does nothing. He's out the door, and then Conte comes in, and within a matter of weeks, it's almost as if he's completely brainwashed them into being his team. You know, if you look at Pochettino, he did very well. Don't get me wrong, got him to Champions League final, but they didn't win anything. Under Mourinho, again, they were just going downhill. There was no turning back. And then obviously Nuno was a fucking clusterfuck. But with this head coach, you're looking at this squad and you're thinking 3 or 4 players, they might win a cup next season. Is this just down to the manager? Oh, can't hear you, Theo. Don't know what's happened. There we go. No? I don't know what's going on today, man. You might have to come out and come back in again. I don't know what's going on.
It's definitely down. It's definitely down to him. You know, you can see the upturn of him. You see the change of Harry Kane. He doesn't even probably remotely think about leaving now. He's in the Champions League. He's at the club he's grew up with.
Where would Harry Kane go though?
Pardon?
Where would he go? Where would Harry Kane go now?
Nowhere now. He's not going to go to United. United is not going to spend over.
Who else would have him?
Pardon?
Who else would have him?
Yeah, no.
Bayern Munich.
Well, maybe Chelsea. But would he go across London? I very much doubt it.
I don't know.
Who can afford him? Who can afford
Well,
him?
Yeah,
for a start?
there's only United and City really will pay the over odds for him. So I don't see him going anywhere now.
The only reason, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the only reason why I question that is because if you look at the teams above Spurs, which is the only options really for him, City have got Haaland, who for me is the best striker in the world by a million miles right now. The man is an absolute beast. Liverpool have got Salah, Mane, Jota, Luis. I think Jota's incredible playing in that centre forward position. I think he's a fantastic player. Chelsea, if they can sort out Lukaku, they don't need him. Where does he go?
Yeah, with the statement with Haaland's the best centre forward, I disagree with that totally. He's had a few injuries this season. He's coming to a Premier League that he's unproven in. So he's still got Harry Kane, the kid from Bayern Munich who scored over 40 goals, Mbappe. So I don't cool my jets on Haaland. He's still got to be proven in the Premier League.
Well, I accept that. I just think I think it's one of those questions where we always ask about, like Messi, for instance, fantastic player, but can he do it on a cold, wet Monday night at Stoke sort of thing? Well, yes, he can because he's Messi and he's one of the greatest players that ever graced the game.
Well, he's not done it at cold City and Lille and Lens and Montpellier.
They did a lovely compilation of him hitting the bar, though.
He's in his 30s. He's out of his prime now, isn't he? Whereas Haaland is. I watched this guy play, and he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's technical. left foot, right foot, header. He's got it all. He's got it all. And yeah, there's still like the likes of Lewandowski, Benzema, who I think is getting better and better, and then Mbappe as well. But for me, Haaland is the closest thing right now to the complete striker.
Okay.
So in that sense, I don't think Harry Kane, no disrespect to him, because I think he's a fantastic striker as well. But within the Premier League, I don't see anywhere he can go this summer where he's going to win something next season.
He won't need to go anywhere, man, to be honest. He's in a good spot right now. Theo, what do you make of Conte then, mate? His mic's gone again. Oh, Jesus. I wish I could do the settings from my end as well. This is bizarre. This is bizarre. So let's talk about Conte then. Came in, it was firefighting, wasn't he, Steve? Came in, tried to put out all these fires. I remember after the Burnley loss, you thought he was going to resign.
Yeah, he was emotional. Let's not forget he managed to strengthen the team as well. You know, he managed to get a couple of signings in. Harry Kane seems to have come out of his own malaise.
That doesn't. Sorry, to cut you out. That doesn't count though, because Eddie Howe's done that, and Stel, bunks that off, saying no.
No. See, now you're changing the narrative now. You're changing the narrative.
Oh, okay.
You're changing the narrative. Well, we can talk about Eddie Howe later, man. But let's talk about Conte now. I don't want to talk about Eddie Howe. £100 million and finished below Graham Potter.
but after Christmas, finishing the top 4 of points, so give him a full season with a proper squad.
I agree with you.
That's maybe.
Sorry, on to Conte anyway. Sorry, Stes. Go on.
No, I don't. I can only profile the man from afar and say that it looks like there's hard work going on, but there's no player discontent. With Mourinho, with Rangnick, with others, that you get the feeling there's fractions, there's ego. I've got to say, I like Tottenham. They don't offend me as a Manchester City supporter, despite the fact they're capable of beating us. But there never seems to be discontent or fractions. There seems to be harmony. And the only nearest thing that went to somebody not in the mood for it was Kane. And either the manager or the player himself has pulled himself out of it, probably playing because he's fit, because I believe he gets all this credit for coming back from injuries quickly. He's a quick healer. I bet he comes back 3 weeks early from every injury, still carrying it. And he probably finished the 3/4 of the season to the end of it, fully fit and playing well. But they all seem to play for the manager. And some managers in the Premier League don't have that talent.
I think they're too scared not to play for him.
Well, whatever works. But it's quite obvious there's no fractions. There's no nonsense. Another word, a stronger word. There's no bullshit. They're just getting on with it. They've all pushed up their running levels. They're certainly well patterned and well drilled from the training ground. And they genuinely look like they want to play for the manager. And you can't say that about previous Tottenham managers.
Yeah.
And he doesn't fail wherever he goes. He doesn't fail.
That's what I'm saying, Stella. It helps when you've got a template and you've done it, been there and done it, got the T-shirt in multiple countries. He's been to Italy and done it. He's been to England, done it. Now he's back in England. So given the right tools, he's obviously said, if you give me the right tools, I can win you the league. So, and you won't bet against him. It's going to be tough because City and Liverpool are really strong. But, like someone mentioned, I think Stez mentioned, you bring 2 or 3 players in there, they're a proper team.
Third time lucky. Theo, are Spurs going to be a problem next season?
They could be. Can you actually hear me? Yeah, we can hear me. Right. No, I think they can be. I think they've got a good manager. My only worry about Conte and Spurs is if another team comes in and it gets Conte's attention, which PSG might or could have done. But if they can keep him, they've got. I think they're still playing Eric Dyer at centre back, but they need to sort that out. Harry Kane, he's not going anywhere. There's no talk about Harry Kane even wanting to go anywhere because he can't go anywhere. So where does he go? He's not going to go to United. He's not going to come to Chelsea. City don't need him now. He's not going to go abroad. So I think that's that put to bed. I think Son, again, he loves the club. The club love him. So there's golden boot winner.
No penalties either, mate. No penalties. 23 goals, no penalties.
Precisely. So I think they're on. The only problem with Spurs is I think what Steve said before is City, Liverpool are miles ahead of the pack, so it doesn't really matter. Yes, they want to develop and get as high as they can, but in terms of trying to win the league, I think they're miles off it. I think Chelsea, anyone below City and Liverpool at the moment, are way off the mark. So, good team, good manager, need to invest. We know that the owner doesn't necessarily like to do that, but he's obviously keen to do that. He's showing that he's willing to buy players for Conte. So, yeah, if they keep him happy, they can go all the way.
Theo, little curveball for you, because the deals fell through with Madrid and Mbappe. What if Madrid come in for Harry Kane? What would he do then?
I can't see him going abroad. I just can't see him going
even
abroad.
Real Madrid.
I just can't see him. Well, it depends on if they're willing to pay him the money. Maybe the money talks louder. But I think I can't see him going abroad.
But if he doesn't, though, I mean, how old is he now? 29, is he?
28, 29.
29.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so let's say he's got another 3-4 years to go of his prime. If he doesn't win anything, how does he look back on his? I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but if he doesn't win anything, how does he look back on his career in terms of success?
I suppose it's how you define success. Obviously, the ultimate thing is winning medals, winning trophies.
Yeah.
But some players just want to be known to be the legend at the club that they've been at. So,
but then a player of his quality, a player of his stature, we're talking about someone who's probably going to be the record-holding England goal scorer as well.
I think you've
seen
it.
I think you've seen about Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Alan Shearer not win a Premier League medal though with Blackburn.
Yeah, but I'm saying at Newcastle. He went back to Newcastle because he wanted to be a hero, and he still is. So,
Yeah, fair enough. But he went back with a medal already, though. So, from a personal point of view, he's already got that Premier League.
But having one medal on, and he could have had a hatful because he could have signed for Manchester United, so he would have had a hatful of medals.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Which is more important to him, to be a legend at Tottenham, or to have a load of medals in your cabinet, and it's not guaranteed, but it's going to be very, very, very difficult to get it at Tottenham, and without Antonio Conte or someone of that ilk, they've got no chance.
The only other thing I can say about Conte is I can't believe that Conte would have gone to Spurs if Daniel Levy hadn't promised him something in the way of transfer funds or transfer activity. I don't believe he would have gone without something guaranteed.
No, you're probably right there, mate.
In that respect,
right there.
I think Spurs will have a very busy summer.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bentancur's been brilliant. Kulusevski's been amazing. His second goal yesterday, Jesus.
One surprised we've seen Eriksen back there as well, because what I watched at Eriksen at Old Trafford, he was the best player in the park. He was unbelievable.
He's a fantastic player, Eriksen. Fantastic player.
Fair point. All right, boys, let's wrap it up with the title. And Man City made it difficult for themselves, Steve.
Sorry, Stel, a quick one. So, will Conte know Eriksen? Was he at Inter Milan when Conte was there?
Yes.
So that might work out for a free as well. That's a bargain, an absolute bargain. Sorry, Stel, go on.
I think it was Conte that signed him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think Conte
signed Ashley Young as well.
And they won Serie A together, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't Conte sign Victor Moses at Chelsea?
He did.
Or was he already there?
He was already. I can't remember. Yeah, but he played him at right wing back, which worked.
Wing back, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
There you go. See, blimey. Knows what he's doing then. Jesus. All right, League Championship. Steve, again, you lot made it difficult for yourselves. Final day of the season. But this time you needed a super sub to come off the bench, a very underrated player, Ilkay Gundogan.
3 of them. All 3 subs. All three subs were as good as each other. It's just that Gundogan got the 2 last touches for goals. But Zinchenko was as good as anybody second half, and Sterling was almost as good. The 3 subs were brilliant. So I think what we should do, without jumping too far ahead, Stel, is actually acclaim that the genius that is Guardiola for the substitutes and the rescue and the surge of energy that they found in a 5-minute period to score 3 goals. But I don't think I can let this go with any conscience without saying that he's done this by clearly picking the wrong team in the first place. So not many people have well, he hasn't. So, but what he has done is he's looked at it, You've got a week to pick the team. You train, you prep, you plan. He thought for playing Fernandinho as centre half was going to work in his final appearance for the club. It's a waste of a substitution at half time because you've got to bring him off and you've got to take a defender off, which cost Jack Grealish an appearance. But nevertheless, the job got done, and over course and distance, the manager's been amazing and the team have been amazing, and the best teams won the league.
Steve, you've probably been asked this question numerous occasions since the weekend, but when Coutinho made it 2-0, what's going on in your mind, mate? Because I was watching bits of that City game. I was flicking through. I was watching the Spurs game, but had City on the corner of my eye, and you didn't look like you were creating anything, especially first half. I can't remember the goalkeeper having a save to make, and it was more of the same second half. And then when Coutinho made it 2, it's almost as if it was a fuse. It lit the fuse for your guys.
Yeah, well, I got past the first 2 minutes after that because I was sidetracked by thinking that I might have to block Rhodri for the rest of the evening. Once my phone didn't beep and he'd let me off, I enjoyed the game, and I was 50 a couple of weeks ago, so I've had 40 years of pain mostly, and that phrase which haunted City as typical City, it's now a different type of typical City, and the old days of panic or tears or people leaving the stadium since that 93-20 goal of Sergio Aguero 10 years ago, it feels like a curse has left the club, and now, obviously, because they've got great players all of a sudden, they literally, like the song says, they go till the end. And even at 2-0, genuinely, I sat in my seat, very, very quiet, Stel, but I thought, there's loads of time left in this. I was in my seat and recognised that we'd had 5 chances after 5 minutes after half time. So I knew there was going to be a flurry. And like every City supporter said, it's all hindsight. But once that first goal went in, that was the key. I genuinely thought they were going to go and get 2 more. I really did.
Rod, 4 league titles out of 5 for Guardiola. He's the second most successful Premier League manager. Listen, we could talk about the money that they spent, and that's easy. And I know you're going to mention Eddie Howe again, but you've got to, and I'll give Eddie Howe his props as well, because you can spend all the money, but you've got to get these players to gel, and that's the thing. What Guardiola has done. All right, granted, he's spent the money. I get it. You have to spend money to win the title. No team has won a league title without spending any money. It's a fact. But I hear about the team spirit. I hear about how he coaches these players individually, and it does seem that he does micromanage at times, but maybe that's just his way of doing things. But how much praise does Guardiola deserve for 4 league titles out of 5, mate?
Yeah, he does, because at one point it should have been done and dusted. When you're 14 points clear with a team like Manchester City, you shouldn't let, even though Liverpool are equally as good, you shouldn't really let them come back to within a point as it finished. So he was under pressure. You could see the emotion at the end. I don't really see him that emotional. But yeah, it was good to watch, because usually these championships are won. I know they've had the Aguero moment, but they've not had many more like that. But to think you're going to lose it, everyone's facing the crowd, and then 20 minutes later, everyone's elated. So yeah, it was good to watch. I've got a lot of City fans, and it was good to let them experience it. And the cherry on the cake, Liverpool not winning the Premier League again. So yeah, it was a good day all around.
John, when we started doing this show, City had brought in Mancini. We saw the Aguero moment. And we also, I remember us once talking about Kolarov and Dzeko talking about their favourite flavour popcorn, which was quite bizarre at one point. But when you look at this Man City squad and you look at the players that they've got at this moment in time going into next season, they've reduced the average age. You've mentioned Haaland coming in. Can anyone stop them next season? I know obviously Liverpool fans are going to say, well, it was only a point difference. And I get it, understand. But
no,
I'm pretty sure Guardiola has looked at that squad and thought, right, defensively, we've made too many mistakes. We need a couple of extra heads. Midfield, we need a couple extra bodies. Up front, they got the striker situation sorted, but Mahrez doesn't seem to be the same Mahrez for me. So are they going to kick on and be a contender for the quad next season? How about that?
Yeah, I mean the missing piece is the Champions League for them, isn't it? I mean, I said earlier about what I think about Haaland. I think he's a complete centre forward. I think he's a fantastic player. And the day it was announced that he was signing for City, I was like, just give them the title now. It's over. It's done. We've started for next season. The man's a beast. He'll score goals everywhere and anywhere. Defensively, I think City are a lot better off now. You've got Diaz is a fantastic defender, and you've got Laporte, and they've still got John Stones as well. Defensively, I think they're fantastic. Mahrez, you said he's not quite what he used to be, but then they've got Phil Foden coming through. And Phil Foden could one day be one of the best players in the world. He's that good. He is that good, you know. And they've still got De Bruyne, and they've still got Bernardo Silva, two fabulous players. It's just, you look at the City squad, and there's only one word that describes it, and it's quality. There's not one single player that I would not take in a heartbeat.
Well, Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's easy.
But it's the same for most clubs as well, though. I'm sure.
I think Fernandinho is going to be a big loss. Fernandinho will be a massive loss for City. I think, you know, I know he's played parts of the season, but I think he'll be a big loss. I think.
But then they've got Rodrigo, and I think he'll turn out good.
We'll have to see. I mean, I think it's.
Rhodri, the guy that scored the second goal.
Yeah,
He's an amazing player now.
Yeah, exactly. Is he not the natural replacement for Fernandinho?
Fernandinho has been. I know he started yesterday, but he's hardly played this year, and he played centre half for most of last year. We've been working without him for 2 years now. We're ready for him to get a statue, get a training pitch named after him, and always be welcome back. We're ready for the next one.
With Fernandinho, the only thing I was comparing with him was you're absolutely right. He hasn't played for a season, and he comes in, he puts in a fantastic performance. It reminds me a little bit of when Wenger broke the duck with the first FA Cup that he won after so many years. Mertesacker hadn't played the whole season. He played that one game, and people think he's like, hey, what did you do? We haven't seen this before. And he's like, well, it's not as if I've forgotten how to play.
Sorry, are you saying Fernandinho played well yesterday?
No, I'm just saying him in general, that as a player. It's not as if he's forgotten how to play the game.
He can go into the middle of the pitch and see the games out superbly, even though it didn't happen in the Real Madrid game. That wasn't his fault, but the centre-half project has very rarely worked for him.
Yeah, I think that's the manager's up there. You've got Watkins. Watkins is mobile, and to leave him against Watkins is yeah.
But he nearly scored.
Yeah, Watkins should have had a couple, if not three.
Yeah. To be fair, you are right, Rhodri, but Fernandinho was off by that point. But I know what you're saying.
That mistake against West Ham, where he played the Antonio, the back pass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just the legs going. I think that's just the legs.
He's been amazing though. He's been amazing, and you know,
what a player to take over as well, Roger. What a finish! They're not easy. Them finishes, they're not easy. He's done that a few times this year now.
He's a sensational player. He really is.
There's no stopping it. That is right in the bottom corner. No goalkeeper stopping.
No, but it's the technique, mate. The way it's coming across, and it's so easy to flip and pull your knee or do something. It's not an easy technique to do.
Can I just
the way you just
pull up something though about Mahrez hasn't been that good. I think a couple of you said Mahrez has been absolutely amazing. He's been brilliant all season, but the key to his recent quiet games, I believe, is the fact that Kyle Walker has either been half fit or not fit and not playing. Because when Walker plays and he comes round on the overlap, that allows two attacks to go down that wing for Mahrez to either pass it or to come inside and work his left foot. But without Walker playing, and you've got John Stones, the centre-half, playing right back, you're not really getting that overlap run. There's no real threat, and the opposition know there's only one problem to deal with on that side. So I think he's had a quiet couple of weeks. He got brought off early yesterday, but it's been another amazing season for him.
That penalty miss against West Ham, that surprised me, to be honest. I'm actually surprised he took the pen himself. I thought De Bruyne was going to take it, but there we go. It is what it is. Title's done. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Theo, let's talk about Liverpool briefly. Went a goal down after 2 minutes against Wolves, another club. Wolves had nothing to play for. And then when Sarr went off at half-time with an injury, there was only going to be one winner, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think there's only going to be one winner anyway. I think Liverpool panicked. I think maybe the first. I mean, that can happen in a game. That can happen in any game. But I think Liverpool knew what they had to do. I thought they played well after that goal went in. I think, Liverpool. Salah wanted his golden boot. The only downside to their game yesterday is obviously Thiago was like a big loss for the Champions League final. Now I think that's a massive loss for them. But it's Liverpool. I think it's unfortunate that they lost the league. Over 90 points and not winning a league. It just shows you the class City and Liverpool are at the moment. So, we've still got a Champions League. I'm glad the quadruple's been put to bed. But Wolves, again, a team that didn't really... they've been disappointing this season. I think those Europa seasons have taken it out of them a little bit. Obviously, the change of manager as well. For Connor Cody and Willy Bolly played well at the back. I thought they played half decent. I thought they you could see they were trying, but Liverpool turned up the level, and that's what they do. Like I said, it's unfortunate for them, but living in Liverpool, wearing a Chelsea shirt on a Sunday, final game of the season, it went down well. Celebrating Man City's win. But I thought Liverpool still got a massive Champions League game, and you can half think Van Dijk obviously injured in the FA Cup final. Salah wasn't. I'll even say Salah's not fully fit at the moment, but they've got some. I mean, I like Luis Diaz. I think he's going to be a brilliant player for them. I think they're forward. It's the whole team. You look at that team from front to back. Klopp's got it right, and the good thing about Liverpool is their recruitment. They recruit really well. I think next season is going to be exactly the same as this season, regardless of Haaland coming in. I think same thing next season.
So, what about the Champions League final? You mentioned it just now, with Thiago possibly missing, Salah not being 100%, and Van Dijk again iffy in terms of his fitness. When I look at how Liverpool have been playing this season, they play with a much higher line, and Wolves got in behind them about 3 or 4 times, especially in the second half. That surely has got to be a cause for concern, though, because a lot of teams did it against Liverpool this season as well, getting in behind them. It wasn't just a one-off. It's happened quite a lot. Obviously, that's going to happen when you're playing a high line and your fullbacks get forward and you're going to get exploited in the wide areas. But they can't do that against Real Madrid, surely. They can't be that arrogant. For me, it would be arrogance to do that, because Real Madrid can really hurt them. And don't forget, Real Madrid, they've hardly kicked the ball in the past couple of weeks because they won La Liga, last month?
Yeah, final game for them was on Friday, just gone. Yeah. So they've had just over a week to prepare for a Champions League final, resting players on that game against I can't remember who they played on Friday, but whoever they played, they rested players. I think Trent's going to be exposed against Vinicius Junior. I think he's a really good player. He's got to be switched on throughout that game, and they do play a high line Liverpool, and they do get caught out sometimes. But they've got Van Dijk, Konate, who I think is a brilliant defender there as well. I'd assume he's going to go for him over Matip in the final. And even their midfield as well. So I think they've just got to be switched on defensively. I think Benzema only needs one chance. I watched 2 games against Chelsea where he done that. He only needs one chance to score, and he takes them. So they've got to be switched on defensively. But I do think that high line could come back to haunt them if they press on, try and stay further up the pitch and allow Real Madrid to work into that space behind the likes of Trent and Robertson as well.
So before we wrap it up, gents, where do you think Liverpool lost the title? Because they were neck and neck with City. In fact, to be honest, they pulled it back, didn't they? How many points were they behind at one point? Was it 7, 6? If I'm not mistaken, we were talking about them. If City drew against Liverpool, if City didn't have to lose any games, but they could draw, and then Liverpool would win, and then they'd catch up with them, and they were neck and neck. Was it the Spurs game at Anfield that cost them the title, you reckon?
Stel, that's a great question. I've been thinking about that a lot. And as a City supporter, Liverpool battered United. They beaten Everton. And I'm thinking, oh no, they're unstoppable. But when they did get that draw at home to Tottenham, which is actually no disgrace, really, I did think as a City fan, here we go. It's just swung back. We're okay here. I can't remember feeling like that about any other fixture. I can't remember another fixture where I thought, oof, they've just had a banana skin moment. I felt that Tottenham one was.
Rod?
Yeah, same. You know, it was coming into the run where they all need to win the games, you know, and they would have won the league because they would have played each other. So if City beat Liverpool, they would have won, or Liverpool would have beat City, and you know, and they dropped them points against Tottenham, and yeah, it was just probably a little release moment for City, thinking, right, we've got a little cushion, but you know, we can't really let it slip now. Let's kick on, and they did.
The thing is with Liverpool and City, people say to me, "Oh, they only know how to play one way," but that one way has been getting them many points.
It doesn't matter how you play; it's all about the result and the winning team. So it doesn't matter. You know, I was listening to it on the radio today. Some people don't like the way City plays. Some people, you know, it's not attractive football. Everyone's each to their own. I won't care as long as I'm, you know, picking that trophy up at the end of the season. And
the thing is, Rod, when they say it's not attractive football, the thing is, it's not City that aren't playing the attractive football. It's the teams that stick 10 men behind the ball.
Well, you know, what do you want to do? You can't go out and toe to toe because you'll get annihilated. So, you know, you're playing against 60, 50, 70 million pound players in each position, and just some teams haven't got the resources. Even if United played them at their own game and they've got the same amount of resources, they would have got annihilated. So, you know, they've done it to Real Madrid for 90 minutes and then 2 chances and they're out. So, and you know, the manager's a bad manager, and it's just ridiculous. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's winning football, and that's all that counts.
All right, gentlemen, final question before we call it a day, because I know obviously we could have spoken about Chelsea and Man United, but we know how let's not talk about them.
Let's not do it.
How about no, it's a quick one for you. How about United haven't won a game without the problem?
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah. 18 goals, 37 years old.
Is that what you're referring to as the problem?
Yeah, the problem. Yeah.
That's what people call him, the problem.
Yeah. Social media labelled him the problem. Ronaldo was the problem.
Oh, the manager won't want him. The manager won't want him. Ten Hag, who was the first one you spoke to? Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, just media bullshit. All the time, it's media bullshit.
I love the question they asked him today. I love the question they asked him today. What will Cristiano Ronaldo bring to United next season? He goes, goals.
What about that rap reporter Gary Cottrell yesterday when he got stiff armed off that security guard?
You can't manhandle me.
Don't push me on tele. Don't be shit, mate. Fuck off.
You know, man, you're right in his face, like here. What the fuck
just,
do you want?
Just an absolute peasant. Move, you rat.
He's the guy that went to Amsterdam when the announcement was made that he got the job, and he hounded him there as well. Yeah,
he opened his window, said 2 words, but I thought it was like a weirdo in his window with a big mic, his big face. But look, just weirdos. Mate, he doesn't want to speak to you. You've got a press conference tomorrow. Do one. No. Yeah, stick that in your face. Just oddballs. What a bad job to do that is. Sticking a mic in someone's face in the face.
If you didn't have Ronaldo and De Gea this season, where would United be in the league?
18th.
Yeah. Mid-table.
Goal difference 0 this season.
I even yesterday, it's the first time all season that I went against them on my Super 6. And guess what I won? I had 1-0 Palace, 5 points, baby.
Happy days.
I'd never do that. And I thought, you know what? Why would I do it? Why would I go against my head when I know Crystal Palace are going to win? Ronaldo's not there. there's a load of players shied off. They're not interested. Palace will win.
Great assist from Bruno, must admit.
Oh,
Great
Yeah,
assist.
brilliant assist.
Yeah, give him another 2 years.
Jesus Christ, honestly, fucking hell. Well, look, are we hoping more than anything that next season's going to be more competitive in terms of a title?
Oh,
It's just going to be the same two teams.
No, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to improve. No, when I say improve, it probably 1 or 2 places improve. You're not going to be fighting for the first spot. Not at the minute. Not how strong Liverpool and City are, but it can't. It's impossible for it to get any worse. You by the looks of it, he's no messing about. He's got a person with him who's experienced at the club. Experience good times at the club, know what the ethos of the club is, know how people should be behaving around the club, people should be training around the club. So we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, so we're effectively saying that next season the two main Champions League spots are taken already from Liverpool and City, right? So there's 2 more to play. So we've got Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Spurs, possibly Newcastle. Are we saying they're going to be?
Let's not sleep on Leicester as well. They've had a bad season. I think Leicester will be better next year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So So let's forget the top 2 then, because we know that they're going to be vying for the title. Who do you think are going to be the teams in contention for the final 2 Champions League spots? I know it's too early to say, but
Chelsea and Tottenham, because they've got the best players and the best 2 coaches now, and that won't change next season. They'll still have the best players and they'll still have the best 2 coaches. Tuchel and Conte and Chelsea's lot and Kane and Son and Tottenham's lot are still going to be better what anyone else can bring to the table.
I would probably say the same. But in 2 months' time, when United have brought in 2 marquee or 3 players that could change a team. But at the minute it's Tottenham and Chelsea, Arsenal, United, and Newcastle just outside. But it could all change.
I think it depends on Chelsea's recruitment in the summer. If we can sign players as well, we should be able to. I think the deal should be going through in the next couple of, if not next 24 hours, 48 hours. But we're losing a lot of key players: Rudiger, Aspilicueta, Alonso, Christensen. It's basically a defence.
Theo, do you think Lukaku's going to stay?
Yeah. Where's he going to go? And if we do try and get him out of the club, it's going to be a loan deal. No one's going to pay 60, 70, 90 million pounds for Lukaku after last season. So it'd be a loan deal.
What's going on with him then? What's going on with him then? Is he doesn't look like he's totally invested, or is he? It's just media hype, or like just had a bad season?
I just think he's had a bad season. I think next season we need to judge him properly and see what he does. If he doesn't hit the ground running, then it's not just a bad season. It wasn't a blip or a bit of bad form or whatever. His agent talking. It's actually him. But who knows? Conte, another one.
The problem you've got is when they come in with that price tag, they're supposed to hit the ground running, aren't they?
Well, that's it. That's what I mean. So,
Theo,
yeah.
Very quickly though, you weren't on the show when we spoke about it a couple of months ago, me, Rhodri and Stel. I think all Chelsea's attacking players who are supposed to feed the strikers, once they get the whites of the eyes of the goalkeeper of the opposition, they just want to shoot. Havertz, Mount, Ross Barkley,
Pulisic, all of them.
So he gets accused of not running, not being able. He'll be in the middle of the goal area. But if anything around 18, 20 yards is a shot for Chelsea, whereas City and Liverpool go down the side of the 18-yard box, pass it across, and get a 3 or 4 yard tap in.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I've never, I'm not one of these who says Lukaku's out or Lukaku needs to leave the club. I think we've seen bits of Lukaku that shows us that he's actually a decent enough striker in the Premier League. It is just the fact that he sometimes doesn't get the service. He makes some brilliant runs. And there is moments, I think it was, I can't remember what game it was, midweek one last week, Thursday or Wednesday, but there's bits that he needs to work on in his own game is what I'm saying. He's got bits in his own game that he needs to improve on, but a lot of the time it is the service. So, but Conte, Jorginho, their contracts run out next year. There's no talk of renewals. So There's a lot to do in the summer. So to answer your question, Stel, yes, I think Chelsea and Spurs, but it all depends on who we bring in to replace a lot of the players that are leaving. The likes of Thiago Silva, who's going to be 38. He's still going to be able to play a full season. Yes, but what about next season after that? And it's just we have to see. We'll have to see.
There's big movement in Chelsea as well, isn't there, this season? There's a lot of players there that are leaving.
At Chelsea?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of. Well,
I didn't realise there was that many. You've just named about 5, 6, key players for Chelsea that are leaving.
But it's not just them as well. It's the Ross Barkleys, Danny Drinkwaters, Mitzi Batshuayi, Baba Rahman. Those players need to move on now as well, because how long have they been at the club and they've not? They're still on loan. Kennedy, another one. So it's a massive change. Yeah, exactly. There's too many players at the club on big money who need to move on for their own career, not even just because they need to move on.
And you've got the question mark: is have these owners got deep pockets like Abramovich? I don't think they will they?
This is it. I think they'll bring in a marquee sign and they'll try and get the fans on board with a big name, whoever that is. But after that, it could just be work with what you've got. We've got players coming back from loan. Conor Gallagher, Broja.
Conor Gallagher, I forgot about him. He's a good player.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm optimistic, but I think it's going to be difficult because, like you've just said, you've reeled off Leicester. United are going to improve. Arsenal, they're all thereabouts. Newcastle. Yeah, so there's some big signings needed, or the right signings needed to balance the
Phil,
team.
did you say Brighton then? You did? Oh, you didn't. Oh, sorry.
Listen, I got that one wrong.
There's a small matter of the World Cup to talk about as well, to put that into the equation, which is in November, December, isn't it? So once that competition is done, the transfer window opens in January, and let's see what happens there. So it's going to be one fucked up season next year, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't like this World Cup being played in the middle of the season. I think it's too much risk, too much pressure, and it will just overinflate the January market as well.
How's it going to work this? Is it going to be an early start to the season?
Yeah.
I think it's also the 6th of August, is it? Or something like that.
Oh, it's like a week before you... Okay.
Shorter pre-season, more load, more volume, more injuries, more muscular problems. Fucking hell.
Is there a tournament this summer? Is there a Copa America or anything like that this summer?
I very much doubt it. I think it's just gone.
That was last year, wasn't it?
What about what's it called?
They made the I think it was 2 years on the bounce, the Copa America, wasn't it? Because of the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Because of COVID as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So there's no tournament this summer, no?
No, thank goodness.
Have a rest.
Oh no, there's Nations League, and then there's a One minute. Don't they have the playoffs for the World Cup? Are they done now?
No, Wales, Scotland
That's
play
July,
Ukraine on the early June, and then like 4 or 5 days after, the winners play Wales to go to the World Cup. So Scotland have got to play Ukraine. I think it's the 3rd or 2nd of June, and then they play them on the Wednesday, the week on the 5th or the 6th. The winner, they play Wales.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
No.
Right, gentlemen, it's been a great show. Thank you very much for your time. I'll let you guys plug anything that you need plugging. I'll start with you, Theo, because you're a busy guy, man. Busy guy.
Yeah, in terms of podcast from the shed and Chelsea stuff. So if you Chelsea fans get involved, well, anyone, not just Chelsea fans, come and have a laugh at Chelsea season if you want. But some good content on there, Instagram, YouTube, all the usual stuff. So and thanks again for having me on as well.
That's absolutely mate. Rod?
Ace Podcast Nation on a Thursday night. That's right. Yeah. Rod James Giggs.
What a guy.
Excellent. You got one this week then, yeah?
I've got one this week. Yeah.
What time?
It's usually 8:00.
Oh, okay. I'll be flying back. I'll be in the air. Sorry, mate. I'll tune into the rerun. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Good luck to whoever Amonia's playing.
Fuck off.
Get the job done, boys. Come on.
Fuck off. Fuck right off. He's gone. Steve.
Nah, not for me, mate. Just support all you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Johnny boy, you're not on Twitter anymore, are you?
Well, I'm off social media at the moment. I'm back studying again. I'm just a glutton for punishment, basically.
Studying again.
So, Stel, if I ever say to you, I'm thinking of studying something again, you have my permission to punch me in the balls.
Well, you just want more BAs next to your name, innit? You must be a fucking flight attendant.
I'll do it every game. But once I'm out of this, I'll be back online. But for the meantime, keep listening, keep watching, and keep supporting your clubs.
There you go. That's it, boys and girls. So we'll be back very, very soon.